With all of your super ad variables plugged in here, now what we need to do is we need to go launch our final test 4, which is the super ad test. When we do this, it's all gonna be housed under the exact same campaign, have the exact same ad set settings as the other ones, but the only difference is in this one, we are going to assemble every variation of these super ad variables. So let me show you what I mean here. Every creative will need to have every variation of headlines and primary text. So if you do the math on this, we have 3 times 3 times 2. So there's gonna be 18 total ads. The max amount you can have, if I had a third primary text here, is 27. 3 times 3 times 3 would give us a 27. So because this was always really confusing, finally, Dylan on our team was like, well, why don't we just standardize all the naming conventions for this to make this really easy to just analyze and then come here and see and know exactly what that is. And so how this works, and why you'll notice we don't have headlines above creatives, is because this is how we do it. We'll take the first creative and we call it creative 1. So I'll have to grab the 11 creative and then 1.1. So first creative, first headline, first primary text. Then we're gonna do first creative, first headline, second primary text. But I don't have to do a third because I don't have a third primary text. So now I'll move on. First creative, second headline, first primary text. First creative, second headline, second primary text, and then move on. And so by the time you go through this process, this one will have 18 total ads. So because I only have two primary texts, you'll be skipping all of those ones that have that third primary text. So the max amount of super ad variations you can have with all of these variables is 27. So let's kind of move in and let's go ahead and do this here. So first ad name, just to make this easy, I'm going to copy this. Now with all of these variables and our ad names, we're going to take these and we're going to launch these inside of the ads manager. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this ad name right here. And let me open up a tab, get into the ads manager. And in the ads manager, click down into that ad lab. And we're going to go ahead, rather than creating another ad set in here for test 4, we're just going to duplicate because it's a little bit faster. So I'm going to duplicate this one. Original campaign, yes. Select that. And this just duplicated all of my primary text tests. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and hold shift. I'm going to delete all of these because I do need the top one. I'll leave that one, but I will highlight the bottom ones. Highlight that by clicking the top, clicking the bottom, and holding shift and clicking the bottom, and it'll select them all. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. And this is not test 3, this is test 4. So we're going to go test 4. Oh, whoops. I need to refresh this really quickly here. All right, so test 4, and this is my super ad test. Awesome. We want to keep the same exact settings as the other ones. The same audience testing or audience targeting and exclusions. Keep those the same. Now the budget is the other thing, right? So we're going to take $3 times the number of ads. So we have 18 ads and we have $3. So 18 times 3. There we go. Whatever Google tells me this is, because I can't think about 54. There we go. There we go. Thank you, Google. So we're going to run $54 here. So just a little bit less. So we're going to come in $54. Wonderful. Then we're going to make sure that this one starts at midnight. We do want to reselect the next timeline here. So we're going to hit midnight. And of course, the rest of the settings will all be the same. So that's already duplicated over. And now brace yourselves for, this is what we call the grind. Okay, so what we need to do is create the variation of each one of those with those naming conventions. So this was obviously our primary text example. So I'm going to type in ad name 1.1 or C1 1.1. And if you recall the process, we're going to grab that first creative, which in this case was that video. It was number 11, if you remember. So I'm going to add my video because that was that first one. I believe we had to crop it a little bit. So I think the name changed a little bit here. Perfect. Keep it. And done. So we've changed this. And now we need to go through the process of making sure our headline and our primary text are the same. So this is where it's kind of nice if you have 2 computer screens. I have a little laptop screen, so I would move a little faster, but to go back and forth to make sure you do everything. So we have the first creative selected. I need the first headline. Pop down in here. And this is kind of the first template, and then we'll move a little faster. Always make sure this is shop now. So let's go down here, shop now. Great. Make sure optimize text per person is disabled. Okay. Then I need that primary text. First primary text. Copy this one. And my luck, I think I literally copied this was the one I left. Nice. Okay, so we have this first one done. Just double check UTM parameters. Okay, we are good to go. So this is that first variation. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna quickly duplicate this. I'm gonna build the next variation. So we have the first headline. Now we need to grab the second primary text. This is C1 1.2. So I'm gonna copy this. C1 1.2, oops, 1.2, since we have two primary texts. And that is what I'm now changing in here. Everything else would remain the same. Now we have that variation. Then I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna quickly duplicate this, hop back in here, and now we have moved through, because I don't have another primary text, we're not gonna do this third primary text test, we're gonna move to the next one. So same creative, it's gonna be the second headline and the first primary text. Grab this second headline, copy this, and you're probably thinking to yourself, Josh, I hope we don't stay through all of this. Don't worry, we won't. Okay, so this one is gonna be the one, but this is a two. Only thing changing is the headline. And I have to make sure that the primary text is the first one. So let me just pop back in here, copy this. Oops. We're gonna select this all and paste this. There we go. So now we have that next variation, right? So we got these two, and then now we're going into the second one. And this is where we're just gonna go back and forth until we have completed every single variation. And now we have to do, of course, 2.2. So once we get through all of these, you're gonna have 6 in this batch, and then once you get through those, you'll see the C2. And what we're gonna do with this C2, 1.1, well, we're gonna duplicate all of our first ones, and all we'll do is change the image. So let's go ahead, I guess we're almost done. We'll go ahead and wrap these up. And so it's just that third headline. So they will all be C1 and then 3.1, 3.2. But I'm gonna teach you another little hack. You can select a 0.2 and a 0.1 if I wanted to. I'm going to select these by holding Command. I think it might be Option or for PCs. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to duplicate both of these so that way my primary text is already duplicated. All I need to do is change the headline. So the headlines for these would be 3.1, right? Because this is the first creative. Here we go. And then this one will be 0.2. So I'm going to highlight all this. There we go. So now I need to get those headlines, and then we are cooking. Third headline, brag-worthy dog collars for the park. Hop in here. Tweak the headline. The other 3.1. I tweak the headline. And now we're done with this creative. So this is how easy it is. Once you get done with those original ones, we need a 10 and a 6. Just remember that for me. All right, now that we are done with all of these, to make this real easy, we're gonna select all of them. Click on the top, hold Shift and click the bottom, and then we're gonna go ahead and quickly duplicate. Now here's all we need to do. We need to change the creative on all of these. And actually, once you duplicate them, you'll have them all copied like this. So check this out. We're going to come in here. Headlines were mixed. We need to change the creative. So I need to grab 10. So I'm going to go image. 10. Perfect. Next. That first batch just takes the longest, and then it gets a lot easier. And then the only final thing I need to do is I need to go through and I need to rename all of these. So I need to go remove the copy. Call this C2. Find that other copy. Let's do the same thing. Now, a quick note is that we do not use double validation in our super ad test. The reason why is we have double validated the entire way here. Now we're just taking these super ad high probability outlier ads with better potential in making every variation of those. And then we're just going to be looking at the top outbound click-through rate once this test actually runs. So we're now in that second creative. So we're gonna follow this process. I won't go rename the rest of these. We're gonna follow this process and then we'll duplicate it one more time and then do that third creative. Now this is the final test that we're gonna do. Now that we've gone through the ad lab process, we've taken the proper steps, we've taken these top super ad variables, we have assembled them into the fourth super ad test. Now all we need to do is press publish, and luckily this is in the same campaign as the other one, so the automations will catch these and you don't have to do any more automation rules here.